For his 60th win as a pro, steps into the ring against pound for pound Courtney Butler, the 34-year-old from Baltimore, Maryland. That is our main event tonight as we get set from the Turning Stone Casino in Verona, New York. It's Friday Night Fights. Here's our main event.
I'm James Toney. I'm 32 years old from Los Angeles, California. I've got 59 wins and 37 knockouts. I'm a former two-time world champion. Butler, you in for a beating tonight.
James Toney captured Ring Magazine's Fighter of the Year back in 1991. He went to Iowa to take on Michael Nunn for the middleweight crown. Down in all three judges' cards. That left hand right there ended Nunn's reign as champion, and James Toney would hold the title. Toney would defend that crown 6 times successfully. Then he would move up to super middleweight, where he would knock off Iran Barkley to win the title and defend that crown 3 times. In 1994, he squared off against Roy Jones Jr. At stake, the championship yet again. Toney was overweight, was not sharp, and Jones was fast. Roy Jones would win a 12-round decision. But James Toney is kept active, taking on tough competition like Mike McCallum, Montel Griffin, and Steve Little. Tonight will be the 4th consecutive appearance on Friday Night Fights for James Toney. In July of 1999, he squared off against Adolfo Washington. Tough fare, but Toney would stop him in the 10th round. He was very sharp that night. Toney has not fought in 9 months. In his last fight, he won a majority decision against Terry McGroom, and by Toney's own admission, it was not his best performance, but he says he has a lot left to prove.
True boxing fans, true boxing experts know that James Toney is a real fighter, a throwback from the old days. And I always keep my skills no matter what. And right now, I think, to this day, I think I'm a better fighter than I was back then, because now I'm more mature and more disciplined than I was back in the day. So like I said, I'm ready to fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. Whoever has the title is good as mine. They're just babysitting for me right now.
He was supposed to fight Alexander Gurov tonight, but visa problems have changed it.
I'm Courtney Butler. I'm 34 years old. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I got 20 wins and 12 knockouts. For you, James Toney, it's lights out.
We saw Butler here on ESPN2. In 1997, he lost a 12-round decision to Don Diego Puder. Although he's taken this fight on short notice, he feels he has something to show.
Yeah, I think James Toney's looking past me. Well, I'm going to be there. I mean, I'm going to box him. I'll slick him. I'll slick him in his game. You know, my thing is to box him. I'm not going to run from him. I'm going to box him. You know, take him to later rounds. You know, I'm a national cruiserweight here. A national cruiserweight here, blowing up middleweight.
You know anything about Butler?
I don't know nothing about him, don't care to know about him. All I want to do is get in the ring and take care of my business and go home and see my babies.
There is Courtney Butler, 34 years of age, works for Amtrak on the track service. Second fight in 2 years. He missed about 2 years because of breaking a finger while working on the track, but no ligament damage. James Lights Out Toney has not fought in 9 months, ranked number 2 by the WBA. Strategy time in Atlas's world.
Courtney, your opponent, James Toney, tonight, we know he's elusive, real tricky in there with head movement. One of the things he likes to do is when he sees that right hand coming, he'll rotate that left shoulder back, bing, come right back with that right hand. What are you going to do about that to make sure you don't get set up?
I'm going to throw the right hand, step over the left hook. I'm going to drop the right hand back, step back over, and jab.
In other words, you're not taking a picture.
No, I ain't going to be there.
No, you're not posing. Courtney, James Toney, very good inside fighter. Why? He throws nice short punches. He's tricky. But there's one key thing. He needs those feet set to punch. You don't want him to take your part on the inside, bing, with those short punches like that. What are you going to do? Make sure he's not set on those feet.
I'm going to jab, pop my jab. I'm going to be there. I'm going to move, get my angle, spin on. When he come out, I'm going to time him up, hold him, grab him, spin around.
Never stand in front of him.
Then I'm going to give him a standing target.
And what happens if we get on the inside? What are you going to do there?
I'm going to hold him, grab onto him and hold him, spin him around. Pop, 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 pop.
Sounds like you have a plan for this.
Yes, sir.
James, your opponent, Butler, tonight, I noticed that sometimes he has trouble with distance. Every once in a while, I notice he'll throw a punch, especially if his opponent steps out. He'll throw a punch from a little too far away.
Bam, bam.
Yeah, that's one thing, but sometimes he knows that's coming, and I notice as soon as he gets in that position, he'll start leaning forward to try to avoid those punches. What are you going to do if that happens?
Step to the side, bam, right here, bam.
You got all the answers. But you know a little something about this game.
He wants people like you.
Your opponent, I noticed, James, when you start walking him down, and I think you're going to do that, he pot shots, and then he looks to grab. What are you going to do to make sure he doesn't get that?
See, either one, if he grab me, if he try to try me on the inside, what I do, I bump and shoot. If he does it again, what I do, I turn him, bang, and then finish off with the left hook. They should be down.
So you have a couple of choices what you can do.
Exactly.
And the main thing to me, you're not going to give him a free ride. You're not going to let him tie you up.
Not at all. That's what he wants to do, tie me down, because I'm supposed to be the smaller guy. So it don't matter. I'm ready for anything. It's lights out for him, baby.
All right, well, Courtney Butler hopes to keep the lights on. He is from Baltimore, Maryland, weighed in at 190 pounds, 20 wins, and 12 knockout victories. You see that he's not been very active. Just one fight in the last 2 years before tonight. Has a draw against the late Steve Little. His opponents have a winning percentage of 63%. And James Toney, former two-time world champion, 5'10", 32 years of age, fighting out of Los Angeles, California. Weighed at over 200 pounds. Butler is $8,000 richer because of that, because Toney decided that he was not going to lose any of the weight. Has not fought since January the 21st, a 10-round majority win against Terry McGroom. This is his fourth consecutive fight here on Friday Night Fights. His best performance against Adolfo Washington in July of '99, had a win against Ramon Garbet. 72% win percentage for those last 5 opponents for James Toney. Coming off a 9-month layoff. Found out about Butler on Monday night. He wanted Alexander Gurov badly, but visa problems kept Gurov in the Ukraine. He could not get to the United States. Bob Fanucchi is our referee. Let's take a look at the rules for tonight's main event. And they are as followed. Unified rules will be in effect. No 3 knockdown rule, no standing 8 count. Only the referee can stop it. Cannot be saved with the bell in any round. Go to the scorecards after 4 rounds are complete. And James Toney ready to rock and roll. You know, in that main event piece, he talked about going home to see his babies. Tiffany and Brittany were born on October 20th, twin girls.
Styles make fights. Toney is as smart a fighter as there is, but he needs his feet to be set to punch. And you can see early on here, Butler seems to understand that, and he's moving.
I'll tell you the other thing about Butler is you look at the knockout ratio. He took this fight on Monday. However, as he told us, he was scheduled to fight tomorrow night in Baltimore. So he was getting ready for a fight. Obviously not a caliber of opponent like a James Toney, but he was getting ready to fight.
Yeah, it's very important you brought that up, Bob, because it's not what it seems to be. Taking a fight on quick notice, normally it suggests that the guy is not in shape, not ready. Not the case with Butler. He was in the gym. He was getting ready for a fight. There's some falling in we talked about, and Toney promised us he would not allow his opponent to tie him up. Again, you see Butler likes to grab on the inside. He wants to be on the outside. He doesn't want to fight with the short punching Toney on the inside, Bob. He's going to grab a line. It's up to Toney to make the right choice. You know that old saying, it takes 2 to tango? The guy can't tie you up if you don't let him.
Well, Butler's corner before the start of the fight kept imploring him, make Toney work, make him work.
People will say, well, what can you do? A guy's grabbing you. What are you going to do, Ted? You don't have to let him grab you. You anticipate it. Take a step back. Let him fall in. Create an opening. Right now, Toney just then allowed Butler to grab him.
Butler very willing to throw punches here in the first round.
He's looking to pick his spots. Punch on the outside, grab when he gets inside.
And there was that dip down that you talked about in Atlas's world, as Toney tried to score off it, as Butler was just leaning in.
Toney's going to get opportunities because of those moves you just talked about on Butler's part. Toney will get opportunities to set up Butler, to throw throwaway punches, to get Butler to make that move and time Butler. And Toney has the smarts and the experience to do it.
We'll see if Butler looks to zero in a bit more on a body attack. He has not really done that.
Toney is as technically and defensively sound as anybody out there. If he has a flaw, it's with movement. He has a problem with guys who move a little bit on him.
And it's a spacious ring. 21 feet by 21 feet inside the rope, so it gives Butler some room to move.
Yes, it does. And again, Butler's falling in. Toney needs to try to time him falling in.
Closing seconds of round one, Courtney Butler has been the aggressor, willing to throw the punches in the first round. Toney playing a lot of defense. Well, round one underway, and this was a scheduled 10 round bout. Originally, Toney was getting ready to fight a 12-rounder against Gurov. He admitted to us yesterday that Toney said he was a little bit depressed because that was a WBA title eliminator. What have you seen here in round one? Do you like what you've seen out of Butler?
Oh, Butler, I like that. I see the idea that he knows he has to move. He knows he has a guy in front of him who has to be set on his feet, as we talked about in the setup of the fight. And he's moving a little bit. And he's throwing some punches. He's picking his spots. He's using a specific style, knowing that he needs that to beat the guy who's probably better than him and definitely more experienced than him.
Let's go to Butler leaning in. That's something you zeroed in on Atlas's world. We're going to take a look at it right now. He does do a little leaning in. Does Toney make him pay enough?
No, he doesn't. He tries to take the step there to make him pay right there, but he should have put some punches on top of that right uppercut. You can't throw just one punch at a time. But it showed that Toney understands what he's doing, saw it, has the idea, and guess what? He's got 9 more rounds to go and try to make it work.
Round number 2 underway between Toney and Butler. Toney 0 for 9 with his jabs. Butler 1 for 10. How'd you score that first round, Teddy? That's not an easy round to score. I kind of like Butler because he was the aggressor.
Not an easy round to score at all, and that's why I'm not answering you right now.
Take a look at the punch numbers from that first round. You see Butler was a bit busier. He landed 2 more punches. I gave the round to Butler.
I have a funny feeling an even round might be in order.
Brewing and Atlas even.
Butler stands in front of Toney. It should be Toney's night. Again, this is what you got to look for, people back home. No doubt about it. It's pretty simple. Butler will grab on the inside. It's up to Toney whether or not he steps back like he did there and puts the punches together. And the punches to put together when a man's leaning forward and grabbing you, that uppercut is usually a good idea to start, to open things up.
And Butler lost the mouthpiece, got it back in.
You know, this business is not just about throwing punches. It's about throwing the right punches at the right time. And Toney just tried it again. Took a step back, did not allow his man to fall in.
That right hand by Butler bounced off Toney's shoulder. Teddy, you know, that's the thing about Toney. We saw him against Adolfo Washington last year, and he just pummeled him. Against Ramon Garbey, who is really a poor man's James Toney. Toney just had all the answers. He's just a very smart fighter.
Oh, he is. I said it earlier. Technically, he's as sound as you can get. But styles do make fights, and the style to employ against Toney, I believe, is not to stand in front of him, to use your legs a little bit, because he needs to be set to punch. Sometimes he will admire his defense a little bit, and if you move a little, you can have some success. Right now, Butler's not moving.
I think a right hand hurt Butler. Body shot, too, it might have been, but I know it was a right hand.
Butler again is falling in, and all Toney has to do is what he just did. Take a little step back, create a little room. He got that hook up to the body.
And that time Butler did a good job blocking Toney's double left hand to the body.
Butler's only hope is to use those legs, not to lay in front. Toney goes to the body, by the way, if you haven't noticed, as well as anybody.
And he knows how to turn just enough on the inside to make a lot of punches miss.
And he's having fun right now. I know that sounds funny. Boxing, having fun? Yeah, when you're hitting and not getting hit, when you're in control, you're the master. Yeah, it is fun. You have the power.